Eleanor Cole stepped into the bustling, high-ceilinged restaurant, its interiors a sleek symphony of gleaming wood and glass. The scent of freshly baked bread melded with the aromatic herbs and spices wafting from the open kitchen, an ambience of sophistication she was all too familiar with. Today, however, she was bridging a chasm between two worlds, one foot in the inconspicuous normalcy of her casual attire, the other in the meticulous realm of culinary prestige. Choosing plain jeans and a simple blouse had been deliberate, allowing her to slip into her new surroundings with minimal fanfare. Her hair, secured in a casual bun, whispered of a morning unfazed by luxury. As she navigated through the discreetly observing staff, she caught snippets of murmurs, whispers speculating on her role, some eyes tinged with curiosity and quiet judgment. Her unassuming presence defied the polished hierarchy around her. The chefs, clad in pristine white jackets, exchanged quick, puzzled glances. The fragrance of fresh rosemary and garlic punctuated the tense anticipation as they prepared for another demanding service. Marco, the Snide head chef and apparent gatekeeper of this culinary haven, paused mid-stride, his eyes narrowing as they settled on Eleanor. With an air of superiority, he approached, his voice dripping with condescension. "Hey there, new girl," he jeered, nodding toward the mountain of pans glinting under the fluorescent lights. "Think you can start with those dishes? Everyone's got to begin at the bottom, right?" Eleanor's lips curved into a slight smile, disallowing his words from ruffling her composed demeanor. Her response was simple yet ambiguous, designed to float over his misplaced authority. "Absolutely, I'll get right to it." She turned away, her heart steady, knowing her real journey at the restaurant was just beginning. Eleanor's footsteps echoed with a sense of calm authority as she strolled through the elegant corridors leading to the back offices. Each step was a deliberate dance of contrasts, a woman of power cloaked in simplicity. Behind her, the clattering kitchen remained none the wiser, filled with men and women tangled in the day's routine demands, their conversations punctuated by the rhythmic hum of preparation. For Marco, the morning had already gifted him with an amusing tale to recount. He gathered the nearest fellow chefs and kitchen staff who could momentarily divert their focus. With a smug grin, he spun his story, animatedly sharing how he'd put the new girl in her place, glorifying his little authority trip while conveniently glossing over the reality of his rash assumptions. Laughter rippled through the gathering like a pebble thrown into a still pond, enticing others to join the revelry in his misguided confidence. Meanwhile, Eleanor found herself at the threshold of a tastefully adorned meeting room. The decor was understated yet refined, each piece strategically placed to speak of understated wealth and discernment. The scent of polished wood mingled with a faint trace of leather-bound books, an ambience designed to suggest tradition and authority, but Eleanor was unfazed. She was here to redefine such ancient paradigms. Inside, the restaurant's regional manager, along with a few board members, awaited her arrival. The manager, a seasoned gentleman in his 60s with a steady gaze behind bifocal glasses, rose to greet her with genuine warmth. His smile was welcoming, a silent acknowledgement of the gravity her presence held. "Eleanor, a pleasure to have you with us," he began, his voice seasoned with respect. Eleanor returned his smile with a firm handshake, a gesture infused with an unspoken promise of strength and collaboration. As she sat down, the briefcase she carried clapped softly onto the mahogany table, its sound a prelude to the layers of change she intended to unfold. "This transition marks a significant milestone for us all," the regional manager announced to the gathered few, aligning Eleanor into their midst with both his tone and body language. "Eleanor Cole is not just a participant but the driving force in our recent acquisition. As the new owner and operational head, she brings a wealth of expertise that mirrors our vision for excellence." Eleanor nodded with measured humility, her exterior composed and inviting. Sitting amidst these veteran executives, her attire couldn't have been in sharper contrast. However, the sheer force of her presence and the credentials she carried were enough to render appearances irrelevant. "I appreciate the vote of confidence," Eleanor began, her voice clear and steady, echoing quietly around the room. "The restaurant industry, like any other, runs on more than just taste. It's about creating experiences, inviting patrons into moments they wished to savor. That's where we're headed together, a reinvigorated path to excellence, driven by mutual respect and innovative vision. Her words were both invitation and declaration, a subtle restructuring of priorities, a promise of fairness intertwined with ambition. The board members exchanged approving nods, swayed by her strategic yet human-focused perspective. As Eleanor prepared to leave for her upcoming introduction to the general staff, Marco's anecdotes continued to stir the pot of camaraderie and hierarchy in the kitchen. He relished the attention, his chuckles curled into a sense of temporary triumph. Yet, unknown to him, his corner of perceived victory was about to unravel, with Eleanor's ascent set to reveal the larger landscape. The staff meeting was called with a practiced urgency, an event not uncommon but tinted today with an air of expectation. Employees filed into the main dining area, the spacious room soon buzzing with soft chatter and the friction of chairs accommodating their curiosity. Marco darted about with an air of self-satisfaction, still buoyed by his tales of putting a non-existent, new girl, in her apparent place. At the heart of the gathering, anticipation hung heavy, interwoven with the aroma of freshly brewed coffee and the subtle lighting designed to enhance evening service. The regional manager stepped forward, hinting at the significance of the moment with his demeanor. "Ladies and gentlemen, today we introduce a pivotal addition to our team, a leader whose vision aligns with our mission of redefining culinary excellence," he announced, capturing their full attention. Eleanor then stepped into the spotlight, her presence radiating quiet confidence as she greeted the staff with a composed nod. The murmur settled into silence. Marco's grin froze mid-expression, disbelief knotting his features as comprehension surrounded him like a tightening net. "Allow me to officially welcome Eleanor Cole as our new owner and operational leader," the manager stated, his voice firm in command and conviction. The room reacted with a collective intake of breath, the tide of perception visibly shifting. Those who had judged Eleanor by her attire now felt the firm sweep of her authority and the significance of her role descend upon them like a silent revelation. Eleanor addressed them with composed poise. "I look forward to working alongside each of you. I value integrity and performance, and my goal is to support an environment where talent thrives, unhindered by superficial constraints," she stated, her words forming bridges of strategy and vision that invited participation. While Marco's face burned with the fiery realization of his folly, the staff's cautiously respectful nods marked their understanding of the reshaped landscape. Eleanor's modest attire had cloaked profound strength and opportunity, a testament to her focus on substance over superficiality. As Eleanor wrapped the meeting in a note of anticipation for their shared future, Marco stood to the side, his smirking tales extinguished by the truth of Eleanor's mastery over this culinary kingdom. The juxtaposition of Eleanor's perceived image against her actual triumph demanded, and received, a reform of respect, one that pulsed quietly beneath the refined surface of the restaurant's dynamic life as it prepared to evolve under her decisive stewardship. The grand dining hall, usually reserved for exquisite dinners catered to exclusive clientele, now transformed into a stage for the next act in Eleanor's journey. Light streamed in through expansive windows, painting the polished floors with warm, golden hues. The room filled quickly, the chatter spanning various tones, from nervous whispers to bold conjectures. Marco lingered at the back, caught between curiosity and a growing pit of unease in his stomach. His earlier bravado now felt hollow amid the rising tension. The story he'd so relished telling this morning now seemed a grievous mistake, its humor evaporating under the harsh light of reality. He shuffled his feet nervously, aware of the sidelong glances collecting around him. At the front of the space, Eleanor stood beside the regional manager, her posture confident and composed. She scanned the faces of the assembled staff, each one a potential ally in the new chapter she intended to write for the restaurant. Her appearance had puzzled them earlier, now, it served as a visual testament to the very values she cherished. She wanted their strengths and weaknesses to shine through unadorned, just as she presented herself. The manager cleared his throat, drawing the room's attention. "As you all know, this gathering is for an important announcement. We are here to welcome Eleanor Cole, the new owner and leader of our culinary operations," he began, his voice carrying authority and respect throughout the hall. Eleanor comes with an impressive arsenal of experience, he continued, laying out the details of her career with reformed admiration. Her strategic interventions have transformed numerous failing establishments into viable, lucrative ventures. Her insight brought to fruition contracts and opportunities some could only dream of. He paused, allowing the gravity of Eleanor's credentials to settle upon their shoulders. To Marco, each word felt like a tolling bell, a reaffirmation of his earlier misjudgment. Eleanor stepped forward, her calm gaze settling over the staff, her presence demanding acknowledgement rather than pleading for it. There was power in her simplicity, a commanding energy that transcended appearances and resonated with honesty. Thank you, everyone. Your time and dedication to this establishment mean everything to the future we aim to build together, she started, her voice measured and sincere. My approach respects the talent you each bring to the table. I've led teams across various terrains, and I've come to understand the heart of a successful establishment lies not in its glamour, but its people. The staff shifted, absorbing her words, the undercurrent of curiosity giving way to an emerging respect. Eleanor's authenticity cut through the layers of their assumptions. She spoke from a place of open engagement rather than distant authority. Chasing excellence isn't anchored on appearances, Eleanor continued, a subtle nod acknowledging her famously unorthodox entrance. I chose to arrive unadorned so I could see how you treat new faces, without the veil of titles and expectations. Here, it's our actions and our commitment that craft our reputation. Her explanation resonated, folding potential skepticism into understanding. Eleanor was revealing her strategic play, a piece of leadership wisdom crafted through years of learning and adapting. And sometimes, my hands will be as stained as yours, she finished, her eyes meeting several in the crowd, her statement dissolving any perceived distance between owner and staff. Amid this reorientation, Marco's discomfort spiraled outward, his mind replaying his rash exchange with Eleanor over and over. What he'd deemed a fleeting, harmless form of humor had now turned into a crucial learning point, a scenario demanding reflective growth. As Eleanor concluded her speech, the recognition in the room was nearly tangible. A renewed energy pulsed through the staff as the aura of Eleanor's clear, honest vision settled in. Marco's earlier brashness was spotlighted by Eleanor's quiet composure, illuminating the stark differences in their approaches. This realization embedded itself in the minds of those gathered, serving as a contrasting tableau of integrity and humility against misguided arrogance. The meeting began to conclude with warm applause. The atmosphere within the dining hall evolved, redefined by the transparency and sincerity infused by Eleanor's words. She had not only addressed their roles but had empowered them to participate as crucial parts of a new era within the restaurant. After the gathering officially ended, Eleanor lingered to converse with individual staff members, arms open to genuine interactions. Her presence continued to sow seeds of trust and open dialogue. The more she engaged, the more she found willing hands prepared to support her vision, an acknowledgement of the focused, measured strength she brought to their world. Marco lingered at the periphery, caught in an emotional tempest. He yearned for escape, but the professional within him urged confrontation with his own short-sightedness. His heart thudded with anxiety and an emerging, uneasy sense of regret, each measure pushing him toward an uncharted path of reconciliation. As the staff dispersed back to their duties, their ranks mixed with a spectrum of perspectives. Each one returned to the demands of the restaurant invigorated, now understanding that authenticity and merit trumped superficial judgments. Eleanor moved forward, seeding hope and responsibility in her wake. Her leadership spoke not through lavish displays, but through a tangible, unvarnished connection with the essence of running a culinary landmark, an orchestration of individual contributions welded into collective triumph. For Marco and others, Eleanor's revelation was a catalyst, a reflective mirror into their gut reactions and hasty judgments. Under her poised guidance, they now stood at the threshold of redefining their professional ethos, a team drawn into alignment not through dictate, but through shared commitment to Eleanor's novel transparency. In the quiet aftermath, Marco sensed that he too was on the precipice of change, laden with lessons the day's unfolding had delivered. Eleanor's actions ushered him to an unforeseen crossroads, echoing with Eleanor's measured voice, a call to humility and growth. Yet, the story was far from over, each soul now poised for the next unfolding chapter under Eleanor's insightful leadership. As the formal meeting concluded, Eleanor felt the weight of expectation blend with renewed determination. She knew gaining the respect of the culinary staff was only the first step in what she envisioned as a transformative journey. Walking through the restaurant, she scanned the surroundings with a critical yet encouraging eye, her mind already charting out innovative pathways. The buzz of the kitchen was a familiar cadence that underscored the restaurant's rhythm, knives chopping, burners hissing, and the occasional clatter of plates like a well-tuned orchestra. Eleanor entered this world, greeted by a composed anticipation. The team, now more aware of who she was, watched her not with skepticism, but with a growing reverence. Tom, the sous chef, approached her with measured respect. "Miss Cole, welcome again. If there's anything you need, please let us know. We're eager to see where you'll take us," he offered, his voice steady, embodying the newfound openness Eleanor's arrival had inspired. "Thank you, Tom. Call me Eleanor," she replied warmly, appreciating the genuine offer. "I'm excited to work with all of you. I've seen what you can do, and I believe we're capable of achieving extraordinary things." Her assured tone planted seeds of ambition, a subtle promise of what could be. She then took a moment, articulating her vision to those within earshot. "I believe in fostering an environment where creativity meets respect. Your talents are the restaurant's heart. Let's ensure they shine." This leadership, rooted in empathy and practical wisdom, shaped a foundation the staff could rally around. Eleanor's emphasis on respect wasn't just rhetoric, it was the cornerstone of her leadership style, born from years of climbing through the industry's ranks to redefine norms. In a corner, quietly observing the interactions, Marco wrestled with his conscience. The initial shock and embarrassment from the earlier revelation had settled, yet unease lingered stubbornly. Eleanor's integrity had laid bare his own shortcomings, provoking a reassessment of his values and approach. Marco replayed the morning's events in his mind, each scene tinged with unwelcome clarity. His normally brash demeanor felt hollow, a thin veneer masking insecurities that Eleanor's authenticity had effortlessly exposed. A resolute change was necessary, but where to begin? Meanwhile, Eleanor's presence continued spreading a transformative wave among the staff. Each conversation she initiated carried well-calibrated insights, showing she was heavily invested in understanding their day-to-day challenges. Her experience was her guidebook, the pages filled with anecdotes of revitalized teams and establishments previously deemed lost. Years earlier, Eleanor had stood at the helm of another venerable institution, a small, family-run inn on the verge of collapse. Her intervention, driven by both strategic prowess and a deeply personal connection to the hospitality industry's roots, breathed life into the business. Its success became synonymous with her name. The inn had not only survived but thrived, mirroring the ethos she had envisioned, a community bonded by mutual respect and shared goals. Now, she aimed to replicate this miracle on a grander scale. Eleanor knew that her appearance often deceived many, and she'd leveraged it as a lens through which the true colors of those she met were revealed. She found authenticity where she least expected, a vital component of her unique leadership approach. Her eyes swept once more across the kitchen, landing on Marco, who stood in a contemplative bubble separate from the activity around him. Their eyes met, and Marco forced himself to maintain the connection, his earlier bravado subsiding under Eleanor's unwavering gaze. He knew he needed to apologize, not as an obligation, but as an authentic gesture toward change. Summoning courage, Marco approached Eleanor, his footsteps deliberate but hesitating. The kitchen's background noise muted, like a pause in his tumultuous thoughts as Eleanor watched him approach, her expression open yet unreadable. "Eleanor," Marco began, his voice lower than usual, the words tentative as he delved deep. "I owe you an apology. This morning, I misjudged you and reacted in a way I'm not proud of. It was unprofessional, and you deserved better. I'm sorry." The admission was simple, grounded in sincerity, each word pulled from a space within him previously untouched by humility. Eleanor regarded him for a moment, the silence stretching as the kitchen's bustling soundscape returned. Her thoughtful nod followed, acknowledgement paired with an unyielding expectation. "Thank you, Marco," she replied, her voice meshing firmness with empathy. "It takes courage to admit fault, and I appreciate it. We're all here to work as a team, to support and lift each other. I'm looking forward to collaborating with you." Her words were a scaffold that invited Marco to step up, not with timidity, but with a commitment to shared goals. Eleanor's acknowledgement sparked a ripple through the kitchen, a visible reinforcement of her inclusive ethos. Marco felt a tension release, replaced not by relief, but a desire to become part of something greater. Eleanor's consistent focus on substance over appearances laid the groundwork for genuine change. His glance fell once more to the uniformed staff bustling about, each role crucial yet often overlooked. His respect grew exponentially, a newly planted seed rooted in Eleanor's example. The day wound on under Eleanor's steady helm. The kitchen flowed with an unbroken rhythm, dictated by a newfound synergy and respect. Eleanor's transparency acted as a catalyst, interweaving her leadership through whispers of honest ambition, redefining realms of possibility for the restaurant's journey ahead. As Eleanor exited the kitchen, she exuded an unspoken promise, an invitation not just to service, but to revolutionize the dining experience they curated for every patron. Her walk through the place was not one of mere routes familiarized out of duty, it was a purposeful stride into the beginnings of change. Eleanor's new role as the helmswoman of the restaurant was off to a transformative start. Under her leadership, the energy within the restaurant had slowly begun to shift. Excellence was no longer treated as an obligation but as an aspiration that everyone found themselves naturally aligning with. This newfound harmony echoed across the intricately designed dining spaces, through the hubbubs of the kitchen, and within the conversations of the staff. One of Eleanor's first acts was to implement a series of team workshops, sessions aimed at addressing respect, teamwork, and open communication. Marco, as the head chef, was particularly involved. His initial resistance was anticipated, yet Eleanor's strategic and diplomatic approach turned these compulsory sessions into opportunities for genuine learning and reflection. The workshops were not merely dull lectures, instead, they implemented practical exercises that encouraged participants to examine their biases, understand the power of constructive feedback, and reinforce the importance of collaboration. Eleanor was keenly aware that the essence of a well-functioning team lay in mutual respect and shared responsibility. As the weeks progressed, the changes were apparent. Staff members were more engaged, the atmosphere was increasingly collaborative, and even Marco, who once wielded his authority with undue harshness, was adapting, learning to listen more than dictate. He began to see the potential greatness in his colleagues that he'd previously overlooked, his growth a quiet win in the wake of Eleanor's influence. One afternoon, Eleanor held a focus meeting with the senior staff, including Marco, to address upcoming menu innovations. The room, filled with chefs and senior waitstaff, buzzed with an excited anticipation. The tables were strewn with papers, menus, and tasting notes, the tools of culinary creativity. Eleanor stood at the helm, framing her plans and proposals with a confident, engaging delivery that compelled full attention. "Our menu should tell a story," she said, her eyes sparkling with determination. "Every dish must reflect our shared journey, our combined skills. I want each of you to bring your visions to the table. This is a collective endeavor." Marco found himself nodding along, a new sense of belonging stirring within him. His own pride was now intricately linked with the team's achievements, they were a testament to the larger narrative under Eleanor's guidance. After the meeting concluded, Marco approached Eleanor, who was busy organizing feedback sheets and making notes in her planner. "Eleanor," he began, this time his voice steady, holding genuine warmth, "I wanted to thank you for what you've done here. For giving me, and us, a chance." Eleanor looked up, her expression welcoming, marked by the mutual respect that had grown naturally between them. "It's all of us together, Marco." Each contribution shapes who we are, she replied, her voice a calm echo of the atmosphere she cultivated. Keep pushing forward, and let's see where our collective creativity can take us. This moment was quietly pivotal, not just for Marco but for the dynamics of the entire team. His internal shift from ego-driven endeavors to genuine collaboration stood as a subtle nod to Eleanor's vision. Under Eleanor, the restaurant thrived, garnering attention both locally and beyond for its inventive menus, impeccable service, and the quintessential experience it offered diners. Word of mouth brought new patrons, elevating its status and filling its reservation lists to capacity. One evening, as the restaurant buzzed with the energy of a holiday crowd, Eleanor walked through the kitchen and dining areas to observe and assist. Her presence, though calm and reassuring, immediately enhanced the focus and efficiency of the staff. Her simple attire, a crisp, button-down shirt paired with a neatly pressed apron, had become somewhat iconic, a visual reminder that expertise and authority didn't need flamboyant trappings. As she navigated the organized chaos, she instinctively paused at the restaurant's entrance, a strategic spot where she could observe the seamless ballet of service, an elaborate dance of chefs, servers, and sommeliers, all performing in concert. The once quiet scoffs from the team over Eleanor's unassuming demeanor had transformed into silent admiration. Eleanor turned her attention to the kitchen one last time, where Marco was overseeing a particularly challenging dinner service. Despite the frenetic energy, there was an ease to everything. The staff moved with synchronized purpose, each gesture underlined by the shared ethos Eleanor instilled. Marco caught her eye and offered a quick nod, a silent acknowledgement infused with gratitude. Later that evening, after the last dish was served and the restaurant began winding down, Eleanor exited with the final group of departing diners. She made her way into the night, the city's cool breeze a whisper of promise against her skin. The restaurant behind her was more than just bricks and mortar, it was a testament to engagement and evolution, a living entity under her command. Eleanor paused, glancing back once at the glowing facade, her heart swelling with satisfactions not from titles or prestige, but from the genuine connection and trust she'd fostered within these walls. She knew tomorrow would bring more challenges, but tonight, she relished the profound certainty of leading with authenticity and respect. As she walked down the light-strewn avenue, the quiet echoes of her footsteps seemed to resonate with newfound power, a cadence that marked the journey from understated entrance to transformative influence. Eleanor's legacy was just beginning, one built on a foundation carved by grace, wisdom, and the courage to challenge the status quo.